Can I have an honest word with you about what's been going on with me recently? I realize you and I have not been on good terms. Uh, do you mind if we just talk for a minute?
Sure.
Okay. I want to try and make things right. I've had a couple really unfortunate things happen the last few days, as well as I mean, I'll give you a quick like just TLDR. I had to kick Ziggy out of my house today. I had to take his keys away from him. I've nothing's going right for me right now. I just I don't think we're on good terms. I don't know if Matt and I are on good terms. Ziggy and I are not on good terms. I just need to know what is going on. From you. What is going on between us? I at minimum, with everything going on, I need something to work in my day to day, and right now nothing is. And if there's anything I don't want to lose, it's that relation with you. And I know frustrations come and go, but I just want to know what's going on so I can try and change it and make it right.
Well, you betrayed my trust when it came to the text message I sent you. You then told the person who I was possibly in danger with that I texted you that. Then you didn't believe me. You know, for a time. And that was just that situation. I mean, you've just been acting strange lately. I mean, you gave me that phone call about the highwayman, which, you know, you were acting weird then. And then, I mean, this whole Seaside PD thing too, which, you know, everybody's joking about, but then you're always hanging around with them. And they're shooting cops every day. Well, they say they don't want to, but they do. I don't know. Mainly, I don't appreciate, you know, especially when it came to something like that, you know, being questioned for it by my son, which, you know, I don't really remember, but I would imagine we had trust in our relationship before.
We did. Let's start from the top. The thing with Pred was a really shitty lapse in judgment from me. I didn't necessarily believe Pred, and I didn't necessarily believe you because I had interest in IA, and I realized that being a part of IA, I have to keep my personal judgments out of that job. So when Pred approached me, he explained his side. I had you explain your side. And, you know, I thought I was doing something right by, you know, keeping an open book and essentially putting blame on both you and Pred. And I guess the way that it came out was that I told Pred about the text message, not realizing that you were in some kind of danger or potential danger, and I'm sorry. That alone is something that I didn't think about. I won't lie to you. I you know, I wasn't thinking. That was a bad time for me, and I'm sorry. The highwayman. And the fact that I've been acting weird lately. I asked you about the highwayman for a very specific reason. And I don't, you may think I'm crazy after this. Do you trust me? All differences aside about what's been going on recently, if I tell you this, will you trust me? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say that for last. Let me go to the Seaside PD thing. I won't lie to you. I am friends with a lot of the people in Seaside. I am friendly with a lot of the people in Seaside. I live on the beach. I've been at the beach since way before Seaside was ever finding a new place to settle home and call their own. So I kind of hit it off pretty quickly with Seaside. A lot of the people in Seaside were members of the Vagos as they were being blooded out, and I led that investigation where Chino was murdered, Chino Gonzalez. And a lot of my rapport with the people that I got information from were a lot of these people. And they were all very concerned about their friend Chino because they knew Chino had nothing to do with it, but they didn't know if he was hurt. And I kept an open book with a lot of the people in Seaside to try and gather any information. And I learned to be very friendly with these people and to grow a level of trust with them and to not draw it out. That friendly reputation worked both ways. I gave a little, they gave a little. We both swallowed our pill and went on our separate ways. And then, you know, eventually Seaside was formed. They were in where I live and have been living since well before Seaside was ever even a thought. And, you know, I think that they just happened to respect the fact that I wasn't an overstepping asshole who was trying to find everybody guilty for being blooded out of their gang. And that I was simply just trying to find information about the man that was murdered. And turns out I ended up finding the body, and I was able to at least tell them personally, from me to everyone in Seaside, that their friend Chino Gonzalez was murdered by one of their own. And I was able to get that through evidence and photos and phone subpoenas. And I'm not going to lie to you. It's very nice to be friends with a gang where I can call them and say, so who you beefing with? Oh, we're fucking with GG. Okay. Why are you fucking with GG? And it takes a simple phone call for me to make that and have them explain that to me so I could tell the PD, by the way, Seaside and so are beefing right now. This is why they're beefing. This is what's going on. These are the cars they drive. You'll know every time you see them, right? There's no secret about it. Bottom line is that we do what we have to do. They do what they're going to do, regardless of if there's police interference or not. So if that's the case, then the least we can do is try and at least keep some kind of open reputation with them so that they're willing to communicate with us, because zero communication gets us nowhere. I've always been about the interest of the civilian. I've always been in the interest of the reputation, because unfortunately in this city, not a lot of people trust us with badges. And I know that. And if the least I can do is try and be that person that someone can turn to say, hey, I trust that cop. I'll tell him what's going on. Doesn't matter if they tell me or tell you or tell anyone, right? If they can look at somebody and have and rely on that trust, I think trust goes a long way. Do I respect
hey, Dark,
what they
you
do?
look bald. Bye. What's up?
Jesus. I don't know. I've always been in the interest of, if someone on the streets can trust a cop, we'll get the information. And I try and be that person without obviously being overstepping or going against my own standards within the Unified Police Department. So that's where the Seaside PD thing comes from. They labeled me as Seaside PD. They think that, oh, haha, Seaside PD, right? Because I'm friendly with them, but realistically, I don't do anything to overstep with them. I don't do anything to, you know.
That's the important thing, is you need to make sure you can draw a line.
Oh, there's a line. Trust me, there is a very clear line. They know. They've tried telling me things or saying things, and I'm like, let me make this clear. You know I'm a cop. Careful what you say. Tread lightly. So I've told them this, and I've put them in their place before. And I won't lie to you. Sometimes they have. I mean, sometimes I'll be the first to admit. Sometimes selective enforcement does come into play, but I think everybody has a little bit of, you know, selective enforcement from everyone I've ever spoken to or ridden with, right? sometimes rolling up to a group of 6 people and seeing a single gun, it's not worth getting, your life taken over that, and you have to back off and inform police. So yeah, I've done that shit before. I won't lie to you about that.
As long as it's the same selective enforcement you'd use against GG or Rust or Jank Gang or Bowlers.
Oh yeah. I am reliantly consistent about my level of integrity with Seaside as I am with GG or anyone. Granted, I keep an open communication with Seaside to some level without giving them obviously information, because that would be completely against the job. But I do that so that they are willing to communicate with the police department.
Okay.
So that's where that comes from. And this last thing, I could probably tell you everything, but I don't know how much you'll believe. And honestly, this is the cherry on top to what you probably are not going to want to hear, because you're going to think I'm fucking crazy. I'm going to ask you a question before I go on with this. And if you remember, you remember. If you don't, you don't. But do you remember, were you a part of the CID?
I was a part of JTF, not CID.
Did you know who the CID were?
So I did.
Okay. You know the name Norman Bones?
I've met Norman. I had coffee with him.
You what?
Yeah, me and Norman, we had coffee at the bean machine once.
You had coffee with Norman Bones? Deep voice, Norman Bones? Kind of looked like leather?
I think so. You're a nice guy.
Oh my god. Okay. Did you know that Norman was... Did you know that Norman was... shot by firing squad and killed?
What?
About 5 years ago? Little known fact. Did you know that Copper, Snow, Daryl McCormick, and other officers such as Frank Williams were also involved in this? And were there for the firing squad? And he was thrown in the ocean? And as of this last month, I have been seeing him, and he has been tormenting and taunting everyone that lives at the lighthouse, including me. And something Norman kept bringing up was the highwayman, and how he wanted to try and get the highwayman, and that the highwayman's being controlled by, by Norman, and that's the power that drives Norman because it's the evil that he needs. Norman's the god of death, and I watched Jackie Snow. Sorry, it wasn't Jackie Snow. I watched Pez Speedwagon put 12 rounds into Norman Bones' head. Norman walked away from him, walked into the lighthouse, and locked the door behind him. And as of a few days ago, myself, Bundy, Snow, Captain Hall, and a few other people tried to get rid of the god of death. We set up a plan to try and get rid of him because he's been tormenting and trying to threaten to kill people. And as for a couple days ago, if you go up to that lighthouse, it is flattened. decimated, and somewhere in there is a body that will probably come back to a Cleo Shaw.
Cleo's dead.
Yeah, she's dead. Pez was the closest person to being able to see because it was really foggy and it was nighttime. And we had a plan to try and flatten that lighthouse. And Pez, being the closest person, made the call on radio. And he watched the explosive device that was put in the back of that lighthouse flatten it. And as he looked behind him through the doorway, he watched the whole thing come down on Cleo. And as he put it, if the...
Ooh, what explosive device?
I would talk to Jeffrey Bundy on the details. I'm not well accustomed with a lot
Were
of
you
the
involved?
details. I wasn't involved in the violence aspect. They only asked me to stay away from the property in case people tried to come and interfere, which was just to keep an eye out for any suspicious vehicles in the area.
What did that... So they blew up the lighthouse?
There's a lot to this, but in simplest term, yes. I mean, to be fair, Bundy and other members of that family own the lighthouse. I mean, to some regard, they kind of are allowed to do what they want with it, but yeah.
Son, you're an accomplice to manslaughter. And your excuses, you were trying to kill the god of death? Have you talked to the police?
The police were involved.
Have you spoken to the police?
Yes, the police were involved.
No,
Bass was
not
involved.
those people.
What people?
Have you given a statement about the death of Cleo Shaw?
Technically, there's no body to recover. And
No
without
one's
a body,
pulled her out.
we have looked
Jesus,
through that.
fuck, Flop.
That here's the issue. Here's the issue. We were able to get inside of that lighthouse. The rubble shifted. We were able to get through that door. Bundy walked inside. This is the problem that we're dealing with. There is no body from Norman Bones, nor is there a body from Cleo Shaw. EMS, search parties, members of the police department, Bass, Snow, Copper, Bundy, everyone was involved. We got search parties out there looking. There is not a body to be found. We cannot confirm the death of Cleo Shaw. EMS are not even allowed to confirm the death. The only people in the state of San Andreas that are able to confirm a death is a doctor upon inspection of a body. No doctor has been able to actually confirm a death.
Listen, I don't know what this god of death shit is, but if Cleo Shaw is dead and you were involved, You need to make a statement. You need to write it down, get it signed by a cop. You can't be found hiding anything back from this. If anybody...
It's already been done. Nothing's being hidden.
Listen,
Bundy's leading it.
Bundy's leading... What?
Bundy is the one that has led everything up to this point. He's the one who has my statement. He's the one who has that information.
Isn't Bundy related to Cleo?
Everything up until that point, yeah. Actually, technically, no.
And didn't you say Bundy was involved in the explosives that possibly caused Cleo to die?
This is where I said you need to just trust me and not look at this as a cop.
You need to listen.
Nothing.
No, hold on. That badge that you've put on your neck in the past 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to mean something. So just don't waste it. I don't know how it's. I can't give you an opinion on this. I really can't. Other than it sounds like there was some kind of manslaughter involved, and whatever the fuck this is with Norman Bones. I'm keeping Bobby waiting, but
I'm helping you with that, by the way. I'm the one that's going to be running from you.
yeah, I know.
Just know that there's two things I want you to just take away from this. I need you to trust me on this and know that nothing is being hidden. Nothing is behind closed doors. I'm giving you a full open picture. And two, I need you to know that it is being handled by the police department. It is being handled, and other officers are involved in it, but not to look into it like a police officer. It sounds a lot worse than it really is. And there's no way for me to explain this to you in order to make it smaller than it was.
How do you want me to look into it? I'm not John bloody Constantine. I'm not an exorcist.
I'm not trying to have you look into it, though. I don't want you to look into it. But you want to know why I asked about the highwayman is because Norman brought it up. So I figure I give you the whole story.
We'll talk about this another time, okay?
That's fine. I just need you to do me a favor and trust me. That's all I'm asking.
I'll see what I can do.
All right.